One of my favorite places to go is the beach here at Sundowner because my grandma lives like in one of the complexes right on the beach. And so from when I was very little, I'd always come over for sleepovers and we'd go every morning and go for swims in the ocean. We'd collect shells. I'd make sandcastles under the sea grape tree. Like it was always like a big moment of just like getting to have your own space outside. I'm Sadie Finch. I was born here and I've only recently left for university. So I haven't really been back as much in the last 3 years, but I keep coming back because it's, I don't know, one of my favorite places to be. It's a nice break from the stress of university and it's always nice to come back. I'm going into a Master's of Science where I'm doing research on injury prevention and rehab. So mostly working with athletes to see different causes and ways to return them back to sport for different injuries. Hopefully specifically in female athletes, but we'll see. When I was really little, there used to be quite a few turtle nests along the beach here. So my grandma was working, I can't remember with what organization, she was working with a lot of different organizations, to be honest, over the years. If the turtles hatched during the day, she would go and collect them in a big tub with like sand, and she'd cover it with a towel and kind of keep it in her apartment until night. And so then my family and I would all come over and we'd help like release like the very small baby turtles into the water. And it was like a really cool experience because it was just us often. Like I said, we'd go like swimming or snorkeling every morning. Like that was, I guess, the payment for coming for the night, is we had to go for a swim for an hour every single morning. And I loved to go down and collect the shells, specifically like the sea urchin skeleton ones. And so whenever you're swimming, like I would probably see hundreds of them. So we just had a huge like shell collection of a bunch of different types of shells. And like I learned from a very young age how to check to see like some of the shells, especially like the swirly ones that animals would live in, to see if they had a hole in it so it was unlivable or if it was still going to be able to be habited by another creature. So I learned which ones to take and which ones to leave. As I got older, I started to make some jewelry out of the ones with like the natural holes in it, either from, I guess, predators or from just how the shells are. I started really liking to find sea glass, especially when the shells were a little harder to find. It was always fairly easy to find sea glass. So I would make a lot of earrings and necklaces and stuff out of those. And so those are things that like, even some of my very, very first ones, my grandma still wears when she comes over. And I keep telling her I'll make her new ones that are slightly better, but yeah, we still have them. And some of them we do just have to like look at because they're very pretty, but if I don't really have a use for them, I try, I guess, to not take them as much, because if it's just gonna be sitting there and not really have a purpose, then it has somewhat of a purpose when it's still in the ocean. Recently when we've gone, there just haven't been even as many fish, like there hasn't been as many shells. It's just been a lot more like, it's still peaceful obviously to swim in the water and look at what there is, but it just feels like there's a lot less than when I was younger and I was finding so many of these shells, and now there's like a lot less, which is sad. So I don't really know if there was like a specific cause or anything. It just seemed like one day like there was just, I guess, less, and I was noticing less. Because again, like a lot of it is like we're going on swims, but we're also trying to have time together with my grandma, so we would stop and we would talk a lot. So I wasn't like 100% focused on what was going on underwater the whole time. But yeah, like I've even noticed like the beach is smaller than it used to be. Like it used to be a lot longer of a beach, and it's something that's been happening just all along 7 Mile. The beach is kind of disappearing, and yeah, maybe like through that some of the reefs are also getting farther out, so it's harder to get to them and see them. But yeah, I don't remember like a specific like instance or after a certain time where I was like, okay, there's suddenly none. The reason to protect this space specifically is the same reason as it is to protect like all the beaches in Cayman. Like they're such an important part of who everyone here is. Like whether you're a resident, a Caymanian, like everyone is here and everyone has memories and experiences at the beaches. The beaches kind of make this island what it is. It's where you go to meet your friends. It's one of like the big things to do. You learn to dive, you learn to snorkel, you appreciate the nature in especially the beaches on such a small island where the beaches make up so much of it, that if they start disappearing and if the reefs aren't as pretty, people aren't going to see a reason to keep protecting them and keep wanting them to be there. Because if it's just a bunch of rocks, no, like, especially people who are new to the island or younger kids might be like, okay, well, why are we trying to save a bunch of rocks? Whereas, like, I remember from my childhood there being hundreds of fish swimming around me all the time, and I wanted to go back to that because I think that other people should be able to experience that and have the ability to go diving and say, oh yeah, I didn't really see much today. I just saw hundreds of species of tropical fish, right? So it's a privilege we have to be able to see so much by doing so little. Like just by walking down the street or coming out of our houses, we can see so much in the ocean and on the beaches that if they kind of start disappearing, then we don't have that anymore. And that's really sad, I think.